Hi, I'm Amy Ludwig Vanderwater. Welcome to day 38 of Keeping a Notebook and day 26 of National Poetry Month 2020. Betsy the Writing Camper and I always look forward to your visits. 2020 is my 11th year of writing a poem each day of National Poetry Month. I always write around a different theme. For this year's poetry project, I have decided to introduce Surprise. Each April day, I will share a Poems Can phrase about writing poetry. I will roll 3 word dice. If a die rolls blank, I will not re-roll it, and I will write a poem inspired by 1, 2, or all 3 of the face-up words. Today's Roll the Dice poetry chat is titled Poems Can Compare and Contrast.
It is time to roll the dice. I will choose 1, 2, and 3, and a roll. And we have Trouble, Fortune, and Wet. Trouble, Fortune, Wet. Hello, my writing friends. It is day 38 of Keeping a Notebook. It is day 26 of National Poetry Month 2020, and it is raining, and I can hear the raindrops on the roof of Betsy. Welcome back. Big high five. Today, we are talking about how poems can compare and contrast. They can compare, or they can contrast, or they can do both. That means that a poem can show how two things are similar, or how two things are different from each other. So sometimes when we see this in a poem, we'll see it by stanzas. So one stanza might talk about one thing, and another stanza might talk about something else. So if I wrote a poem about the sounds of Betsy, I could have a stanza about how quiet and silent and bird-songy it is on a non-rainy day, and then the second stanza could talk about the sounds of the pitter-patter of raindrops on a day like today. If I wanted to write a poem that compared my two dogs, Callie and Sage, I could have one stanza that talks all about Callie and how calm and wise she is, and this second stanza that talks all about Sage and how bouncy she is, and that would show, but then how maybe each stanza would say something about how loving they are, so how they're alike and how they're different. So poems that compare and contrast don't have to be two stanzas, but sometimes they are. It's like they have two parts. My teacher, Katie Wood-Ray, taught me how books often will have two parts. There'll be maybe part in one character's voice and part in another character's voice, and then you might see the same idea from both points of view. So today we are talking about how poems can compare and contrast, and our words are trouble, fortune, and wet, which I thought was very funny how much that matched today, because today is the wettest day we have had in a little while. So my notes here for our words and my little jottings, I dropped my pen, my little jottings here. Trouble. I thought about what would be some trouble for Antoinette. A cat, an owl, a winter with not enough food. Trouble could be about getting into trouble or being naughty. I don't think Antoinette has been so naughty right now, but she could be. We all can be. Fortune is like luck or good happenings, and wet, I wrote about rain and how maybe she would take sips of stream. I jotted, Antoinette would feel both ways about rain. She would feel that it was a trouble and that it was good fortune. She would feel the coziness of staying inside on a wet day. I love that too. Would she like rain on her fur? I'm not sure. She would like a rainbow. Now she has friends, 3 friends, Glorious, Sonata, and fledgling Robin. She will want, likely, to cheer Robin on, will want to congratulate Robin on her flight from the Pussy Willow bush. So I'm thinking about that, but it ended up not being what today's poem turned out to be. Today I did start writing about a rainy day, and then I started to think about Antoinette on a rainy day now, where she has all of these dear new friends. And then back to the past, when Antoinette didn't know Glorious, and she didn't know fledgling Robin, and she had never taken a ride on Sonata's back. So these would be 2 very different rainy days, because different things would be going on inside Antoinette's mind and heart, and that happens with time. So this poem has 2 stanzas. And you can see, again, it might be difficult for me to read to you, but the typed up draft, anyway, will be at the Poem Farm. It's called A Rainy Day for now. No, it's called Fortune. I changed the title. All right. On one rainy day, Antoinette felt alone. She baked one wee muffin to eat by herself On this rainy day, Antoinette makes granola from sunflower seeds for her friends. And I started to write something else about her being grateful for her good fortune, but I really did want just the 2 stanzas showing how the 2 rainy days are different. So that's when I decided to make the title. Not a rainy day, but fortune or good fortune. I can't even remember what I'm thinking, but for now, I'll put fortune there. So know that when you're writing, you can change things all the time. That's your job. That's your right as a writer. You can say, even though I wrote this 4 years ago, I think I'd like to revise that. I'd like to still go back and work with it. So today we're thinking about how poems can compare and contrast. They can have one part that's about one thing, the next part that's about something else. It's really kind of like 2 parts. So how 2 things are alike, how 2 things are different, or both. So I hope that you, wherever you are, have fun with either these words or your own words that you found any way you so chose to find them. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. As always, I'm going to venture back out into the rain and get a little wet myself. And I will see you soon.
These are my notes and drafting for today's poem, and you'll notice that the poem is in 2 stanzas because this poem compares 2 different rainy days to each other. It is raining here in Western New York today, and I think I will do some baking too. So today's words are trouble, fortune, and wet. Trouble, fortune, and wet. Whatever the weather, wherever you are, I wish you the very best. See you soon.